Hello, Irish fans, and welcome to Dome and Domer, the oldest Notre Dame football podcast on the planet. Joining me, Mike Coffey from NDNation.com, as Ed has the day off. All right, Coffey, you pretty much nailed it last week with your prediction, so I'm going to ask you to talk me off the ledge. I've been having the same recurring nightmare the last three nights, and it goes like this. Notre Dame wins the toss, and for some reason elects to take the ball. They then go 3-and-out like they have the last 5 games. And then Navy gets the ball, drives the length of the field, scores a touchdown. We come back, kind of figure it out a little bit, kick a field goal, 7-3. Lo and behold, Navy gets it again, goes the length of the field, scores a touchdown. It's 14-3. We then scramble, score a touchdown. It's 14-10, but then the half is over because that's just how Navy is. Yep. And now they get the opening kickoff in the second half, and that's where the dream ends. I just can't take it anymore.
The one change that I would make, I really don't think that if we win the toss that Freeman's going to elect to take the ball. I mean, he's shown the wisdom to do second half deferrals.
If that happens, then you know this dream is
yeah. Well, as much as I'd love to talk you off the edge, this is now the thing with Navy is. As my friend Mike Frank has said, if you take Navy's offense and you put a quarterback who can actually throw in it, it really adds a dimension because the usual Navy option offense requires, really precision assignment football on the defensive side. And I think that we have the players who can execute that kind of assignment. I know Cross and Mills been playing a lot better since the week off, and they'll get another week off next week to heal up even more if that's required. I think as well as Notre Dame's linebackers have been playing, I don't know if they have a lot of experience against the option. I know Al Golden does. Al Golden, this is his third game against Navy. I've got no problem that the scheme is going to be fine.
No, the scheme's going to be fine, but it's a lot of young guys that we've got that have not seen this before, and I think that's where the concern is. But look, I think that what's kind of really interesting about this game is this is a pivotal Marcus Freeman moment because this is all about getting your players up for the game. And I think Freeman even referenced it a little bit. Hey, it would be a totally different scenario if they were 0-6, and he wouldn't actually be comfortable in that situation at all. Mm-hmm. But because they're 6-0, he's pretty confident it's not going to be hard for him to get this team up. However, having said that,
at home, so I think that helps. You're on the road. You got to have that road mindset.
Yeah, it's that mentality, and this is where college football head coaching comes into play. It's how do I figure out a unique way to get these guys fired up so much that they want to prove to the world that they're not going to fall into that trap and be down at halftime. And I think, with that being said, look, Navy's 6-0. Probably hasn't played anybody of the likes of Notre Dame, right? So that's something you got to jump on that right from the get-go. So Notre Dame is going to have to come out and smash them right from the get-go, because what you want to create is that doubt in the minds of the Navy players. Oh shit, this is not like who we've been playing the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, true.
That's where Freeman has got to kind of capitalize on this. This isn't a situation where we want to kind of step back and try and evaluate what we're up against and then make some adjustments and then settle in and just beat this team. That isn't going to help against Navy because they're not the same. Just as you alluded to, their passing, they're in the shotgun formation 43% of their snaps. So that right there tells you that they're different than your traditional Navy team.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think the disruption is always the key with Navy's offense. I mean, for a normal Navy offense, you get them in 2nd and 12, 3rd and 15. I mean, they're in jail. But
right.
This Navy offense can throw the ball. It's almost you're playing a conventional opponent, but with an extra wrinkle in the running game, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
So the cornerbacks can't be thinking run first. They have to be. They have to have like a balanced mindset where they say, okay, I need to read my keys. I need to stay with the receivers on it. I think I'd be a little more confident if Ben Morrison was still playing because Notre Dame's backfield, even without Morrison, is definitely leagues better than any defensive backfield Navy's faced so far. And it's one thing to be completing passes on guys who aren't going to be playing on Sunday. It's completely another, and I don't mean elevate guys like Moore and some who are only freshmen, but they've gone up against some high quality passing offenses and they played really well. I mean, you still got Watts out there, you still got Moore out there, you still got Gray out there. You've got plenty of guys who can maintain their coverage without requiring help or without having to do like a weird zone or something like that. So that leaves your front seven to play their assignments, to say, I can trust the four guys behind me that they are going to have good coverage on their man. They're going to make their good tackles. And if you free their minds up to focus on the assignment in front of them and not worry about what's behind them, that's going to help.
Yeah. So well, certainly, I mean, in terms of, personally, I think the game is going to be won on the defensive side of the football. It is going to be that, because what we can't allow to happen is for Navy to just control the clock, control the football, control the possessions, and limit our opportunities on offense, because we're not that kind of dynamic, just throw it deep and score on you in a matter of seconds. That ain't going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where a lot of pressure is going to be applied. Navy has 2 turnovers the whole entire season. So they've not turned the football over at all. They're 100% in the red zone. They score every time they get in the red zone. So what that means is that Notre Dame is going to have to, like you said, put them in a 1st and 12, or 2nd and 12, I should say. Mm-hmm. That first down is going to be key. If you're giving up 5 to 7 yards, look out. Yeah, that's this is going to be so. So the defensive line has got to be huge tomorrow. They have got to get at least a few tackles for loss, which means they've got to get some push, which means they've got to hit some gaps. And Cross is one of those guys that can definitely do that. He's got great hands. He's got great swim technique. But we're going to need that on the defensive line, because if we don't have tackles on the defensive line, that means that all the tackles are being made by our linebackers. Mm-hmm. And there's some young guys back there that have not seen this to the level of execution that they're going to see tomorrow. They just have not been up against it. And that could be a problem. So
no, I agree.
It's going to be a nail biter for us to sit here and watch this, because nobody's comfortable unless you're up 3 scores on Navy.
Absolutely. And the time of possession is going to be the key. I mean, it's if you're scoring on all your drives, that's fine, but it doesn't do you any good if not only is Navy scoring on all their drives, but they're also eating 7-8 minutes off the clock every time they do it. And that,
exactly,
I think 3 and outs, 6 and outs. I mean, so you definitely don't want to give up more than 1 or 2 first downs. You want to keep the number of first downs per drive to less than 2, because I mean, it'd be great if it was 0, but I don't think that's necessarily a realistic position. I think you're going to give up the first downs here and there. The key is don't give them up in a row. I mean, if you give up a first down, wipe it out of your memory. Say, okay, this is the 3 and out right now. Yeah. The key is getting the ball back and keeping the ball out of their hands.
Yeah, and I think that this is why I kind of alluded to that whole Marcus Freeman moment. I think there's some opportunities here to, for instance, let's say we do win the toss, we do defer to the second half, we come out on defense, and right from the get-go, we're sending 8 guys. We just say, no way are you getting a single yard on this play, and all of a sudden we stuff them, and you're in 2nd down 9 mode, and the adrenaline is so high that we're just making some plays, and it's 3 and out for Navy. Mm-hmm. You get the football and you score, you're on your way. You've now got a chance to put the medal and so I think, I mean, it's a big ask, don't get me wrong. It's not like Navy is not capable of us, but what you want that mentality to hit them right from the get-go, that holy crap, this is way different than what we're used to. Mm-hmm. And that's a coaching moment. You've got to take advantage of those situations. The more you let them hang in there, holy crap, is that noose going to get tighter and tighter in the second half, where we can't afford a single mistake.
And I think, and as we found with the service academies over the years, Notre Dame's played Navy for X number of years, and the service academies are on those lists of teams that, for the most part, they're not going to beat themselves. They're going to have discipline. They are going to be focused. more so, I think, than a lot of other teams that Notre Dame can play. I mean, at the risk of looking ahead, I mean, I look at Florida State. I mean, talk about a team capable of beating itself. I mean, that's definitely
Yeah.
Navy, though. I think Notre Dame has to provide or show the same level of focus and discipline that Navy's going to show, because year in and year out, especially at the beginning of games, that's what you see. Now, for some of those Navy teams that haven't done very well, as you said, like you show up, you hit them hard right at the beginning, and then it's kind of like, oh, crap. And there is a dip. I mean, it's not as low as I think you'll get from other teams, but this is a Navy team. They've got 6 wins under their belt. They're feeling good about themselves. And as you pointed out, reminding them that, or showing them that this is a higher strata of opponent than they've played thus far, is going to go a long way, I think, to giving Notre Dame the confidence to match their effort and win the game.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's interesting about Navy this year is, one, they've got massive big plays and several of them. So I think they're in the top 5. I can't remember what it is, but they're, in terms of 50+ yard plays, they're like maybe even 1 or 2. I can't remember. I heard that stat the other day, but they throw the football, they move the football, the yards per play is way up there. Again, they're one of the leaders in college football at the moment. Now, again, I know everybody can sit there and say, well, wait a minute, who have they played? Okay, yeah, that's true. But having said that, they execute. You can't go into the red zone and score 100% of the time unless you're doing something right. So what they're clearly not doing is committing a bunch of penalties, committing any turnovers inside the red zone. They haven't done that once. So you're up against a very disciplined, a very detail-oriented type football team, and what you don't want to give them is any kind of an edge confidence-wise. The last thing in the world we're going to want is for them to take the football and get up on us, and all of a sudden we're down 7-0. You're going to have to, we as a team, in terms of that, disruptive nature, that is how you beat the triple option. Is you got to gamble a little bit and you got to make some big plays because you're disruptive. Well, the difference with this Navy team is you can't just shut down the triple option, because that's not all they are.
Yeah.
They got a lot more to them besides that. And that's where there's going to be a lot of strategy involved in Saturday's football game. I think it's going to come down to some coaching. I mean, this is a moment for Marcus Freeman to shine here, because I do think with the win, it is going to set us up really well for the rest of the season. Not to say that it's going to be easy on us, because we both know that Florida State and USC has the type of talent to beat us, and they're going to be up against it. Both coaches are going to need a Notre Dame win in a big way. Absolutely. I mean, if they're going to salvage their seasons, that's one way to do it, is knock us out of the playoffs and do it in a big moment. And a lot of the bad taste with what kind of season these guys have had is going to go away.
No doubt. And I think it's not an exaggeration to say that Norvell's probably going to might be coaching for his job at that point. I mean, Florida State came in with a lot of accolades, and they have completely taken a dump on their season. And I think if he can show some spark at the end of it, it might save his job. But I mean, it's very possible. So he's definitely going to need that. Lincoln Riley, like you said, I could see him needing it too. I mean, there's just a lot of expectations in both those teams that weren't met, and it certainly hurt Notre Dame's strength of schedule. But it also means these guys need the win and have the talent to get it, like you said.
Yeah, and I think, we haven't talked much about offense, but I do think that this is going to be a huge game for us in terms of level of execution. Is going to have to be almost perfect. I don't think we're going to suffer. I don't think we can afford any turnovers whatsoever, honestly.
True. I think what's going to help, though, is, I mean, a lot of people talk about Navy's offense, and rightly so. They're playing at a very high level, but Navy's defense is just not very good. They're giving up a lot of points to some not very good teams.
Right.
So I'd like to think that not only will Notre Dame be able to score points on this defense, they may be able to score points more quickly than we think, because if you can get guys, if you get like Price and Love with some just crushing runs, I mean, there were a couple runs, like I was thinking of Love's run against Georgia Tech last week that got called back because of that holding penalty.
Right.
And just
right.
where our seats were in the game, like we were down in the end zone and you could see the holes opening up. And I think this offensive line has a chance to really maybe exert its will a little bit against this defense.
Well,
I
agree.
The turnovers is what we don't want.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if we don't throw the football at all on our first series. Mostly because I think this is a perfect opportunity where you can take advantage of the fact that you've got 3 elite running backs in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality of the matter is Riley Leonard is elite as a running quarterback.
Sure.
He is going to be tough to defend on Saturday. And I think if we even start out with a couple runs by him, it's going to keep those guys honest up front so that Jadarian or Jeremiah can bust through the line and boom, there you go. There's your 50-yard run that turns into a touchdown that opens the floodgate. I think you're right about that. I think the opportunity just on a ground level standpoint for execution, we should be able to move the football fairly easily and put up some points on the ground and not have to rely on any kind of huge passing game. We'll keep them honest, and I think Riley will easily be able to do that, but you need that score first. We got to get up early first to put that pressure right back on them. And then I think it becomes that downhill march that we want. We just can't afford to get into that situation where halftime we're looking up at the scoreboard and all of a sudden it's tight and God forbid that we're down. So going to be a fascinating game. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be I don't like the 12 o'clock games. I don't know why. It's like there's too much time for me to think about the game after it's done.
Yeah, I guess. Although a game like this, we are kind of maybe it's good to have it in the first, like right at the beginning, so then you don't spend it like if it was a night game or something, you spend all day like sitting around. Oh my god. So knock it out in the morning, and then have the rest of the day to either gnash your teeth or celebrate.
I am looking forward to this only because I think this is going to be indicative of how the rest of the season goes. I really do. For some reason, I've got this. I think this is the pivotal moment for us. This is okay. Do we really have a shot at running the table? I think the way this game goes is going to dictate that.
Oh, I agree, and I think I think this is, a Navy game as an attention-getting strength of schedule game. That's what's unusual to me about this. The problem with Notre Dame's schedule this year is like thanks to Southern Cal and Florida State being down. Our statement game was at the very, very beginning of the season. It's real easy to forget about that as the season goes along. But this is an opportunity. Like you're playing a ranked Navy team who has been getting a lot of accolades and who some of the talking heads say, hey, Notre Dame could be a possible upset victim and all that. Well, you win this game, you win it solidly, you win it decisively. That maybe wakes up the CFP people who say, oh, you know what? Yeah, that Northern Illinois game was a big turd in the punch bowl, but that was many, many weeks ago, and they seem to have learned something since then and stuff like that. So this
in spite of all the injuries we've had and everything that's not gone away this way. But yeah, I totally agree with you 100%. All right, let's get into it. What do you think? What's your prediction?
In our prediction contest, I said 28-17 Notre Dame wins, only because of what we were talking about, how this game is going to be shorter. One thing I will predict is that the networks will be scrambling to try to get all their commercials in by the end, because this game is going to go so fast that in fact, if you're going to take the over-under on whether or not it's going to be done by 2 o'clock Eastern time, I'm tempted to take the under. But I still say 28-17 Notre Dame wins.
Yeah, I that's kind of what I'm seeing too. I think it's, although a little bit bigger, I think 34-17. Because I do think that, I don't know why, I got this gut feeling that Marcus is going to take advantage of the situation. And I think he is. I think this is where he will kind of solidify himself as to what we all think he is, which is a solid coach. He's a good, he's still young. He's still figuring it out a bit in that regard. But I think there's a lot of belief in the potential that he brings to the table. And I think this is one of those moments where we're going to see that that's why we ended up going with them. Because this is a big moment for him. This is a big if he can turn this into a solid win and really get this team positioned for a run here, it's going to bode pretty well for us the rest of the season. I think he's going to do it. I don't know why, but I just got a gut instinct. They're going to play hard tomorrow, and I think it's going to, like you said, it's going to open the eyes of the committee of, all right, look, this is not just, Notre Dame getting lucky with a weak schedule, and they're going to eat their way into the playoffs.
Yep,
so this should be interesting to see. Really cool. Awesome. All right, good deal. We'll leave it there. You're listening to Dome and Domer, an online conversation about Notre Dame sports from a fan's perspective. For Mike Coffey, I'm Mike Brammer. Thanks for listening.